longer than most people will watch this via recording. So we'll get going. It'll be just as informative as possible. Lucas is coming on. What's happening, Lucas?
Hey.
Um, tried to reach out to Rob beforehand to tell him that I got you.
Oh.
He'll be able to jump in. Welcome everyone to what will be the 8th installment of the HW Works Alumni Ad Series. Today is Brown, right? And we're fortunate enough to have 4 wonderful panelists. I didn't get a chance to say what's up to Grace as she signed in. What's happening, Grace? How you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
Good. We've got Lucas Gelfond, HW class of 2019. Brown 23, Lucas?
Brown 24. I took a gap year in the middle.
Brown 20 gap year. Ooh, we like to hear that.
Yeah.
Talk to me about gap years too. Alexandra Moore, class of 20. And then
Yes.
Brown 24?
Brown 25 because I took a gap year before college.
Yeah. To clarify, I took a gap year in the middle of college.
Okay, so we've got my gap years are burning between, especially you, Alexandra, you took a gap year before, right?
Yes.
And of course you, Lucas, who can advise people. We have a lot of students who take gap years after college, like before they go to grad school.
Yeah.
That's the mid one. That's solid. We've got Max Tippy, class of 23. Brown 27, Max. Is that where you're at? Are you gonna gap year?
That's correct.
No, Brown 27, right? And it's funny, I was talking with Max. We were talking when Max transferred in. So you'll be able to talk about that process as well. And then finally, Grace Belgrader, class of Harvard Westlake, class of 23, and Brown 27?
Yep, 27.
Right. So we got a transfer student. We've got 2 alumni. The alumni taking gap years. And we've got regular admits. So, we had 3 regular admits, but we got someone who's still in Brown now. So I've talked a lot. And that's enough for me talking. So I'm gonna let our panelists introduce themselves. And then we'll get going. Any order, guys. I'm a big fan of freestyling this. So you take the questions and the directives in whatever order you feel fit.
I can go first. My name's Alex. I graduated from Harvard State in 2020. I'm now a senior because I took a gap year before college, so I can talk about that. But I coached debate and did an internship relating to democracy reform. Now I study political science and history. And yeah, is there anything else that I should hit?
Whatever you want. Your intro is what you want.
Happy to elaborate on any of that.
Who's next?
I can go. I'm Lucas. I graduated Harvard Westlake in 2019. At Harvard Westlake, I did peer support. I was on the Chronicle. I did KHWS. And I was also really involved in like HW Inc., HW Venture, entrepreneurship stuff. At Brown, I studied computer science. And then we also have this program called like the Independent Concentration Program where you could build your own major. So I studied I called it art and technology. It was advised by an art history professor and an English professor. It's like how cultural production and technological development interact, I think was my tagline. And yeah, I just graduated. I live in San Francisco. I work at a startup. Yeah.
I can go. Hi, I am Grace. I graduated from Harvard Westlake in 2020. For 2023, I graduated in 2023. I'm graduating Brown in 2027. I am a sophomore. I haven't declared my concentration, but I will probably do English. I came into Brown thinking that I would concentrate in MCM, which is our equivalent of a film studies, film theory major. But I'm doing a lot of film and theater as well on the side. At Harvard Westlake, all the film stuff. I did Westflix. I was one of the directors. I did video art stuff. I did stonecutters, writing, humanities things mostly. And yeah, that's me.
So we know who our panelists are. And normally I'd ask
because I guess let me introduce myself as well.
Oh yeah, quick. Of course, Max. I certainly can't forget you. Go ahead, man.
So my name is Max. I'm a transfer, so I've only actually been on campus for a few weeks, but I think it's kind of given me like a unique perspective on coming from a different school. But uh, but yeah, I'm honestly not completely sure what I want to do. But right now, I'm taking classes in like economics and computer science. But I'm interested in a number of other things. And at Harvard Westlake, I played tennis and was part of some clubs like Westflicks and Souls for Good.
Sure. And Max, where you transferring in from?
I'm transferring from Rice in Houston, which is a good school as well. But
Yeah, we've got Rice, I believe, October 30th, October 29th, October 30th. And it's funny when Max was responding to my Rice outreach, and he was like, "Oh, I'm not there. I'm at Brown." I'm like, "We got Brown Monday. Come on!" And then now here we are, and with the transfer perspective. So with we now know our parents. I definitely would have wanted to cut you off, Max, and I apologize for doing so. Let's get started. Question one. And again, any order you want to take it in, whoever's moved to answer first or second or third or fourth, have at it. You all told us kind of sort of your school or major again, so I'll probably have you reiterate it just so our parents and students listening will know for sure in case they're interested. But what is your school or major again, and why was Brown the right choice? Don't all jump in at once.
I can go first again. So I study political science and history, and those are just within Brown's General School. For the most part, everything is within the same school. We have a school of public health, for example, as an exception to that, but otherwise all of our concentrations are just within Brown generally. And in terms of why I think that Brown is the right choice, uh, a lot of reasons. I love Brown. I speak very, very highly of Brown, but I think definitely one of the big ones is open curriculum, which everyone talks about. So that gives you a lot of flexibility to choose your classes. And then I would also say that like I'll just focus on academics, and then other people can probably talk about culture and other things. But another big, I think, academic asset of the school is how undergraduate focused it is. So many people do research for professors. There's great opportunities for thesis writing and things like that. And so I think that that's unique from other schools that have really big graduate programs where it's more difficult to get research positions because it's mostly PhD students who are doing them.
I can also I can go or follow up with that. Yeah, same thing, same school. Computer science, and then Brown has you can like build your own concentration or whatever. I call it art and technology. Um, I mean I feel like one thing I was really drawn to was like I was always interested in startup stuff, but I also like really loved the humanitiesy things, and I think Brown is really interdisciplinary, just like as a focus. Like almost everyone I knew who took STEM classes also really loved their humanities classes, and like there's really a cult. Like I feel like I was very kind of like light CS, and then like my senior year I was like, oh, like I want to take a hard math class, and like you can just do that. So I think there's also a culture where people, because of the open curriculum, people really like what they study. You're not in classes with people who are like held at gunpoint to be there, and I feel like I avoided a lot of classes that like would have really sucked because I would like go, we have this thing called shopping period where like you can basically try a bunch of classes in the 2 weeks leading up to, or like the two first weeks of the semester. You know, I go see like 12, 13 classes every time. And very quickly you're sitting there, you're like, oh, this person sucks. Like, I'm not going to take this. Or like, oh, like, I didn't think I was going to take this, but this person's awesome. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it was really good. I think Brown let me do I think Brown is very good at a lot of things, or like I felt like computer science was a very strong program. I also felt like like I had English professors and art history professors that I thought were like really amazing. Um, and I think it's pretty rare that there's schools where like you are going to get really, really solid like programs at a lot of things. And you're not like, oh, like this is a technical school or this is like just a humanities school or whatever. And for generalists or people who like that, I think that's really good. Um, but yeah.
I can keep going. I echo all of that. I think like genuinely Brown is probably, or I'm an English major, probably also is my concentration. We call them concentrations. It's the same as the major. But yeah, I think Brown is like the most like conducive to learning environment that I've ever been in and probably will ever be in because it is like everybody really wants to try new things and learn. And I know that sounds cheesy, but it's very true. And yeah, I also feel like a part of the reason I'm studying just English, like a lot of people at Brown double concentrate, um, is because I'm interested in like so many different departments. And it truly is so cool that I can just take those. And like you can take a small class in another department, which is like everyone else is probably like that major and has been like is like it's just so cool. It's like I'm taking like a production class this semester, and it's like the first film class that I've taken, and I didn't get in at first because I'm not an MCM major and it's a very small class. And then I just had to like talk to the professor and I'd be like, I really want to do this. And he's like, you're doing it. It's just very cool. My roommate just came home. Hi, sorry, wait, I'm doing this thing. Um, and it's just an incredible environment. And it's I think another reason which people said like that I chose Brown, which people said before was that like people are so happy here. And it really is true. And I think that's because people are so accepting of your interests and like are interested in you, not just for I don't know, for superficial reasons. Like everybody's just so interested to like learn from other people and experience new things. Anyway, I'm going on. But I also think the professors are amazing and shopping period is huge for me as well. Um, yeah, just learning so much. It's very cool.
You transferred in. What made you choose Brown?
Well, I guess one thing I was going to say is if you're coming to Brown, you have to acknowledge the open curriculum. Like, it's like a big thing. I'm thinking like, do not come to Brown if you're just like, I only want to do English or I only want to do computer science. Like, you have to be like, I want to do more than one thing. I want to take classes in like different subjects because otherwise, you're kind of like avoiding the whole purpose. So I guess that was me. I thought I want to do economics, but I also want to do like classes in computer science and film and entrepreneurship and even something I don't even know about yet. Like I just want to like behavioral like sciences, maybe I'll be interested in that. So I think being able to do all of that is something that most schools do not offer, and the vast majority of schools do not offer. So, and I think if anyone offers it, Brown probably offers it best. So yeah.
It's as kind of sort of a nerd slash study of these things. Brown has been rated the happiest Ivy for like years. And like generally, Brown is one of the schools overall, Ivy plus general National Public University as one of the happiest schools. So what you all are saying is it's backed up, like real, like legitimately, it has been for years. There used to be a running kind of sort of a running thing. It's like, people at other Ivies who were upset would say, I should have went to Brown, right? And it's one of those things because of that disposition, right? The next question, and I think it kind of sort of ties into, and I always find this interesting because I'm from the East Coast and coming to California, like the diversity is just through the roof, particularly at Harvard Westlake. So I'm always curious about Californians and they go back east and see how it is, particularly in the Northeast. And that's a question of diversity. What is diversity? What was diversity like in your major, right? And how would you say diversity is like at Brown overall? And like I said, I'm particularly interested because you all are coming from HW and LA, which is extremely diverse. Does it compare? Does it rate?
I can start. I think Brown is relatively diverse, but like probably not like immensely. Anecdotally, I feel like all of my I think like a lot of the humanities classes I think are like less diverse than my STEM classes like historically, which I think is just like a like practicality point to some degree, or like people who are not like rich kids from private schools like are maybe more inclined to take classes that will get them jobs. But I say as someone who like took a lot of English classes and like went to Harvard Westlake, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. I think it was pretty diverse. I feel like it was. I feel like I was expecting more like socioeconomic diversity and other things given like college brochures. Like it is kind of like there's a lot of people who are like who went to like the Harvard Westlake of their town, or whatever. But I don't know. I think there's definitely a variety of perspectives and backgrounds and things like that. Computer science is like 45% female, which is like one of the highest in the nation. Is like maybe a interesting anecdote here.
We just had Willa Ferguson on the Harvard call talking about some of the difficulties that she had in computer science and engineering and the lack of diversity she saw there. So that's an interesting note, Lucas, for sure.
Yeah, I kind of agree completely. So I just will add like, I think that Brown is always aiming for diversity and acceptance in every single way. That doesn't mean that that's always exactly how it is. I agree, like socioeconomically, I've not always found it the most diverse. But it is also like it feels sort of similar to Harvard Westlake or like my community in Los Angeles to me. Um, but yeah, I would say it's like aiming always for diversity. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. I would say in terms of like if looking at data, if anyone's interested, Opportunity Insights has data about socioeconomic data for a lot of schools, including Brown. So that's really interesting. And then Brown also, I think, has self-reported data each year. And anecdotally, I would say it, I think that Brown feels more diverse to me than Harvard Westlake did, at least at the time that I was there.
Yeah, I mean, I also kind of back up everything that everyone said, but I know that Brown definitely does make a lot of effort to keep it diverse, as well as with like resources for like underprivileged groups are definitely there. So they're definitely supporting the idea.
So I was wondering, any initial thoughts on Providence overall?
I love Providence. I think like especially coming from LA, I wanted to go to a smaller city. I just think it's fun. Like most of the restaurants that I go to are not chains and like are sort of like slightly funny, like slightly off exactly what you'd think that it's gonna be. I think it's full of specific spef specificity, very
Specificity.
specific,
Yeah.
specific, but yeah, you know. And it's like you kind of get to know like the local coffee shop guy, and it's very I don't know, it's a very good combination for me at least of like there are things to do but not too many things, and so you kind of do the same things over and over again, which is fun. I like it a lot.
I should have said initial thoughts for Grace and Max. Any thoughts for or lasting impressions for Alexandra and Lucas?
Yeah, Providence rocks. I mean, I think definitely it's like a little bit of an adjustment coming from LA. Like there's just like a lot fewer things, or like there's things you have to go to Boston or New York for that like are you're just used to sort of having in LA. Um, but it's just like it's such a sweet place. It's very communal. It's very small. The food is like amazing. Like I feel like the admissions tour thing that everyone says is just like there's a culinary school that's there, and a lot of people start their first restaurants in Providence. Um, there's a lot of like wacky kind of community events in Providence that I started going to by the end that I thought were really fun. Um, yeah, I think it's really cool. Like it's also a very like late 20s, early 30s city. And there's a lot of like I feel like there's a lot of like hipstery like bars and things that just like support like that group of people who are in Providence. It is also very collegey because like Rizzi's there, Johnson Wales is there. Um, and also what's awesome is like if you have friends in New York or in Boston, you're like very visitable. So like I had a bunch of people come sleep at my floor during college and stuff like that. That was really fun.
I'd say just one thing to take in consideration is like you should like look into the city a little bit. I mean, like I personally love it. My mom came in here, she hated it. She just like it's too small for her. But I honestly like the dine. It's kind of like this diner feel, and it's like the drivers are friendlier. It feels like a community, which I really appreciate. And it's like the little bit of isolation, but it's honestly like a good isolation, I'd say, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about the food, but I just have to say it's great again. And if anyone ends up coming either for a tour or for college, I have a very extensive list of restaurants that I've been building throughout my 3+ years now. So it's great. And then overall, I really like it. I think it's a really good also combination of I didn't want to go to a school in a huge city where it's really integrated, where the school is integrated into the city. I liked the idea of having a campus. But on the other hand, I think that some of the schools that I toured were also quite isolated from any urban areas, or even if not super isolated, just like it takes you like 30 minutes to walk off the campus, whereas you can step directly off of Brown's campus and be straight basically in the city. And at the same time, the campus is enclosed, so it's not like it's integrated into Providence, if that distinction makes sense.
It does. Because I think about Columbia and NYU, and how Columbia has more of a campus that's set
Yeah.
aside, right? But NYU just feels like it's in the city, right? So Parsons FIT just feels like it's part of the city, not necessarily separate. Like if you didn't see the flags, you wouldn't even know it was part of the campus, right? So I
Yeah,
wholly
exactly.
understand what you're talking about. The next two sets of questions are pretty much what our students and parents on this call absolutely love, because they're kind of sort of the process stuff, right? The how did you get in kind of sort of stuff, right? Um, what did you do? And Lucas and Alexander, you probably have to harken back a little further than Grace and Maxwell. What did you do after your sophomore and junior year of Harvard Westlake? So basically those summers, right? Summer after your sophomore year, summer after your junior year. What is it that you did? Any order?
I can go. The summer after my sophomore year of high school, I did debate camp because I was on the Harvard Westlake debate team. And then the summer after my junior year, I volunteered a bit at a debate camp, and I also volunteered at Loyal's Project for the Innocent, which helps free people who have been wrongly incarcerated in Los Angeles. I think I got that through HW Works in part. And then I worked on college essays.
Who's next?
I can go. After my sophomore year of high school, I believe it was COVID still. So I did a lot of like I did what I could. I did write online writing classes where I wrote like like a screenplay that I ended up like making. So that was like sort of towards some sort of project culmination. I did some community service, which I kind of can't remember now, but I remember going to like help kids at a school in Culver City. And that was my sophomore year. And then in my after my junior year, I was an usher at the Hollywood Bowl, which was very fun. And I did a screenwriting class at USC, which was like kind of intense, weirdly, and it was 3 days a week. But they take like financial aid and stuff, so if that's an issue. But it's a very good kind of like idea for somebody who doesn't know what to do, honestly, is like take a summer class at USC if the commute's not too bad. So yeah, and I worked on my college essays as well.
Lucas next.
Frankly, frankly, all I did was play tennis, and spend time with my friends. There was no like specific program that I signed up for or a job, but I definitely like try to do some work here and there on my like school or application in advance, but it wasn't like something very specific that I did. It was just like, enjoy it to an extent because it might be some of the more free summers you have for the rest of your life.
Yep. Good. Good.
Uh, yeah, sophomore year I think I did it was like a entrepreneurship camp thing at Stanford. It's like 3 weeks. I don't think I did any. Oh, and then also I was doing like if you guys have heard of Teen Line, it's like a crisis hotline. I
Yes.
went there like my sophomore summer and then also a little bit my junior summer, but like it was kind of like go whenever you have time. Um, and then I think my junior summer I claimed I was writing a book about startups. I didn't finish, but I interviewed a bunch of people for it. I had spent as much time on that, but I never
I,
finished it. So
I I love that, Lucas, and I think it's valuable for our students, but especially our parents to see. You see varying intensity in varying ways when it comes to those summers uh after sophomore and junior year, though. Those are some of the things that you'll probably be writing about. It doesn't have to be super duper intense, right? And I think these four are telling us that it's important to maybe do something, but it doesn't have to be, you know, top ranked internship slash, job paying, $100 an hour like in high school. And like, you don't have to do that. Like it's
I
nice if you
think
get it, but you don't have to.
I think everyone should do what they like. I
Yeah.
think you will be in a really bad shape if you don't do things you like.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And Max said it too. These are going to be some of your freer summers. After, so while college is important, living in the moment and being fun, having fun is important as well. Just as important, if you ask me. I'm going to eliminate if you are comfortable sharing because everyone has shared thus far. But know that you don't have to if you don't want to. But what did you write about in your college essay, your personal statement, the Brown selected statement? what was it that you all write about, that you all wrote about? Excuse me.
I can go. I wrote my personal statement was all about like I used to have this like tradition where I would like drive a bunch of my friends like to this beach to Zuma Beach, which was like really far away, and we just like I was like about just like talking with my friends basically and like vulnerability and stuff. I was probably kind of cringe in hindsight, but I like it felt good at the time. I remember that Brown, the thing that was the most fun was I remember Brown had this prompt about community. I don't know if it's still on there, but I wrote this really weird essay where I like was like, oh, like mosh pits are community or whatever. And like whatever. I feel like you should have fun on your college apps too.
They're those prompts, like for all of these types of schools, are basically still about community. It's like the theme this year.
Yeah.
Like community identity, how your identity impacts is going to impact the community, and something along those lines. So that's interesting. Even 5 years ago, almost, has it been 5 years? Yeah, 5 years ago, Lucas, it's the same kind of a theme.
I can go. I wrote some of my supplemental essays were like one was about the Hollywood Bowl and like seeing
Yes.
concerts of artists that I'd never heard of or didn't know and
And
how
that
it
was
was
your junior year,
cool.
Grace?
Yeah. Oh
Yep.
wait, see, I actually realized after that I said that was incorrect and that like moved things forward. So I actually worked at the Hollywood Bowl after my sophomore year too, I think.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. But I had worked there. And just like how much people like, I don't know, a lot of my like theme, I guess, was like art and
Yeah,
such.
I can
So
tell. Yep.
like sort of orchestrating a communal experience of art, like just as an usher even. And that was one of them was that I think that was for the essay that was like about like what brings you joy. Um was about how when I was little I wanted to be a magician and I didn't end up being a magician and I like try like I like different things like open curriculum. And then my personal statement was like a little more intense and it was like about like the passing away of my dad and like how he directed theater and like I had this chance to direct theater and how like that really connected me with him. So yeah.
Yeah, so I guess the transfer application is a little different because one of the questions is like, why do you want to transfer? Which
Yeah,
is,
can you talk about that process a little bit, Max?
yeah, so I guess it's in general, like not only Brown, but the transfer application is probably a little bit more difficult because you've lost like your Harvard Westlake resources, all these like people telling you exactly what to do, as well as like the school that you're at won't help you because that's like against like the whole point generally. They'll say they will, but they probably won't. But you can find a lot of it on Google or just ask friends that that have transferred. But it is a lot of work because you got to do like your schoolwork and you got to get like recommendations from. I mean, you got to do all the same stuff that you had to do before, but like in a pretty short interval. But yeah, I mean, in my essays, I kind of wrote about some stuff that happened pre-college, but some of it was more of like in my first year because they do want to hear about like what's kind of changed. It's like although I didn't apply to Brown in out of high school, they do want to like kind of like see you as a person that's coming out of your first year of school or whatever your second year of college, not out of high school. So your answer should probably include some more stuff on that. But I'd say I guess kind of like same thing like community. I wrote about like gardening. I wrote about talking to Uber drivers. I mean, I wrote about like spending time outside during the night. Uh, like the simple things, and then you put it to like a greater message, I'd say.
For my personal statement, I connected like family experiences to debate, talking about ideological diversity, and then connected that to like what I learned from synthesizing different perspectives and connecting that to my policy interests, and talked about the internship I mentioned at Loyal's Project for the Innocent. And then for my why Brown, I think I mostly talked about the things that I mentioned in terms of why I thought it was the right fit, and specifically mentioning professors who I hope to do research with and that type of thing. And for community, I talked about an organization that the Girls of the Harvard Westlake debate team created called Girls Debate, designed to promote inclusivity within the activity.
Excellent. Excellent. So I think we're seeing some of and we've gone back. Lucas is 19, Alexandra's 20. Grace and Max are Grace is 23, Max is 24 on a transfer app, but we're still seeing some similarities throughout. as far as uh, what schools are looking for when it comes to the experiences, and particularly identity, community, and then relating it to your professional experience, that junior year experience. I don't think that's by coincidence. Okay, Lucas, you'll be prepared to answer this in the now. Alexandra, Grayson, Max, you'll have to look forward. Do you feel, or did you feel in Lucas's case, that Brown is preparing you, or again in Lucas' case, had prepared you for your career and or life after Brown?
I can go, so I'm no longer the exception here. I mean, I think Brown is not very pre-professional, but like it has all the resources if you need it. And I really like that. Like I didn't want to go to a school that was very like, oh, like, I feel like Brown really cares about learning, and there's less of that emphasis. I mean, like I was kind of doing two things, and I still like I write a little bit on the side still as a freelancer, and like like Brown, the media network is really, really good. And when I was writing stuff, like particularly, there's a lot of connection between like Brown student papers and like journalistic outlets. Uh, for tech stuff, I feel like a lot of companies will come recruit at Brown. There's a lot of like pre-professional CSE clubs that like a few of which I did, which I think were probably helpful. Also, a lot of people will like there's a lot of ways to like gain experience at the school that I feel like is easily parlayable into job things. And yeah, I feel like Startup Network is quite good, or I've been pleased. I definitely think you maybe have to go out of your way a little bit more to professionalize, because like a lot of the school will not professionalize, or like it's not there. But I think like I have friends who did finance recruiting. I have friends who did finance recruiting. I have friends who did consulting recruiting. Like I think it's not really like where the gravity of the school is, but if you want it, all of it exists basically. Yeah.
Such a simple term, Lucas. I've never personally used it, and I'm stealing it. Pre-professional. I feel like there are a lot of schools that are pre-professional, and I think you saying Brown not being pre-professional, I have a feeling that it's correlative with like student happiness. I cast no aspersions on any schools. You all see that I do. I try to cover as many as possible, but there's something to be said about enjoying learning and actually enjoying the experience for itself versus just basically preparing yourself to enter the workforce, be pre-professional, as Lucas talks about.
Yeah, also like all the concentrations are liberal arts concentrations. Like for example, some schools will have like software engineering, like Brown is computer science, or like it's always like the liberal artsy version of the discipline, which I really liked, or I thought was just like correct, sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think,
Go
oh
ahead.
no, are you sure? I mean, I'm just a sophomore, but I think that's exactly true. So I would say like I don't know if I feel super prepared, or like I am becoming super prepared, to be completely honest, for the outside world and like my career beyond college. But I think that is because the emphasis at Brown is so on the present and on like truly like learning organically and like trying out as much as you can. So it's like I feel like people often create like make a distinction between Harvard and Brown, for example, Harvard, like that people at Brown are talented often at so many things, but people at Harvard often are like so talented at one thing. Not that that's in any way like applies to everybody, but there is this thing of like everyone you meet at Brown is doing all these different things, which is amazing. And part of the reason that I love Brown, and I think that it's kind of like the best way for a college to be, but it's definitely not like I don't know. I don't think everybody's like spearheading towards one final destination. And I do agree that that kind of contributes to the happiness of the school, but it could also be stressful for some people. Although I will say also like I have a lot of friends who are joining consulting clubs and like I'm not the best person to speak on it, but I know that people are preparing for their careers in very concrete ways. It's different for humanities also in a lot of ways, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with what's been said. I'll just add that there's the Brown Center for Career Exploration, which I'm sure that most colleges have the equivalent of that, but it definitely does have a lot of resources.
Brown's
Or
is one of the better ones. I visit
yeah,
all of Brown is one of the better ones.
Okay, that's great to know. And it's yeah, I've had a really great experience there. They have peer career advising hours where most days of the week they have peers who have been trained to read your resumes and they can help you edit those as well as cover letters. And then they also have it's really easy to make appointments with career counselors who are professionals there and form relationships. They give advice on info interviewing, on every part of the job application process, on how to think about what you want to do in a bigger picture, strategic way. So I've had good opportunities.
I'll also put in really quickly, sorry. There when I was looking for a job for the summer, I didn't end up getting a job through Brown, but there's this huge alumni connection, like multiple platforms online, which was very expansive and helpful. So that's cool.
Yeah, also just to plus one that, like, I feel like because most Brown alums like Brown, almost everyone who I contacted would like get back to me. Or like the alums were very available, which was like awesome.
Sounds very similar to a high school I know, a 7 through 12 high school I know concerning alums and how much they want to give back. You guys may not know anything about that.
Yeah,
Max,
I guess I'm also.
did you think about, how you'd be set up career wise when you were transferring?
I honestly thought about it more after I got here because people seem to be stressing it, like at least in my circle. But I think it's kind of like if you don't want to be like part of it, nobody's forcing you to, and it's not really be part of your life. But if you do care about like your career and you want to stress it, then there's just a ton of resources for it. Like I already met with the career counselor, and I've been here for a pretty short period of time, and they gave me like 100 resources and like spreadsheets to like look at. So there's definitely enough to get a job. And I think there's like a page that like Brown alumni specifically look for Brown students that they want to hire, which is nice.
Yep. I'm partial HW works, but Brown is pretty solid career wise of all the colleges I visited as far as the career services, the career lab aspect of it. And it's realistic too. A lot of places, will just give you, here are our alum who are at these places. I was asking about research at Brown and was like, no, we tell them, like, here are the email addresses of all the professors. You've got to reach out to them. Like, we don't have any kind of a, you know, magic red carpet for research. And it turns out no place does. So I learned that when I went to Brown first. We have so it's 3:52 now. We kind of sort of cut into the Q&A a little bit. So hopefully people will be able to ask the questions that they want. We had a few come in by chat, so I'll read those first. And I believe you all did actually touch on this, but there probably needs to be some clarity because people joined the call late. This comes from a parent, Jimmy Yang. How you doing, Jimmy? Brown is well known for its open curriculum. Can the panelists elaborate on what open curriculum really means? Max, you said you considered it when you were transferring in. Lucas, I know you talked about it. Grace, actually, all four of you talked about it a little bit.
I can talk about it. So I'll like put it in context of myself, so maybe it's like easier to see. So I'm an English major, which means I have like 11 or 12 credits that I need to fulfill. Or maybe it's like 8. It's not very many, and it's very doable, but you do have requirements. But so I take 4 or 5 classes every single semester, and usually last year and this semester, because I've only been here that long, I will take 1 or 2 English classes, and there's like higher level English classes that you need to take. And then my 3 or 4 other classes I will take in any department. So it's basically like you don't have requirements except for your major and the major requirements unless you're doing engineering. But that's also very cool. And you can still take other classes, are not very excessive. So you can take basically anything. And it's amazing. And also shopping period, I can explain super quickly if that's helpful. Which I think maybe it sort of was explained. But like at the beginning of every single semester, there's 2 weeks where you can sit in on any class and see if you like it. And it can be in any department, and you get to learn a little from the professor, even if you don't end up taking it, and you can change around your schedule for those first 2 weeks. So it's basically every opportunity to learn anything that you want.
Yeah, I feel like even beyond, so like the letter of the law, sort of like the open curriculum is like basically in order to graduate Brown, you have to finish 1 degree, you have to fulfill writing competency twice. So there's like classes that like are writing based, and you have to complete 30 credits, and like that's it. And you basically can do whatever you want after that. But also like beyond what is official policy, like prerequisites are basically fake. I took I took a class at RISD where you're like supposed to have taken a visual arts class beforehand, and like that didn't exist. Or like I took a math class that didn't have the prerequisites for like there's like a real culture of people from other disciplines taking classes, even like upper division classes in other departments, without having like the prereqs for it, and it's great. And what it means is that you're taking like some class in a discipline, and there are almost always people who are not in that discipline there, which is pretty cool. And it also means that like all of the requirements within concentrations are also very lax. So like, like similar to Grace, like computer science, it was like I think it was 10 classes, but like almost all of those classes I had like 5 or 6 options or more that I could like pick. So like I'm like, oh, this semester I want to fulfill one of these 2 requirements. I'll shop all of these classes that maybe could be for this requirement, but like very rarely do you actually have to take a single class. Yeah. Also, you can you can literally make up a major if you don't want to do like complete the single concentration. It's really kind of awesome.
I'm in this English class this semester really quickly that is like 10 people. And the last class we went on this tangent because there's this guy in my class studying neuroscience. Like his whole thing is neuroscience. And he like explained to us the science behind dreams because there was this, poem about dreams. And I like learned more than I've ever known about neuroscience in that hour English class. This is cool stuff like that.
Very cool. Were there any other question? You can use the hand emoji or just send me the question via the chat. Otherwise, we got 3 minutes, and I was going to have our 4 distinguished panelists kind of sort of leave us with closing statements about Brown or HW or both or life or college or anything you want. Because it looks like we have no more questions. So you guys guys and gals want to close this out? Anything pertinent? Any wise words for our current students? Any calming words for our many parents on the call?
I mean, there's so many great schools. So yeah, it's college admissions, I feel like is not as high stakes as it might sometimes feel at Harvard Westlake. That being said, I'll also say that I really can't say enough positive things about Brown. Like I'll text my friends to catch up and they'll be like, how's life? And I'll answer and they'll be like, you are a walking admissions flyer. So and I think that that enthusiasm has come off from most of the people or from everyone on the panel. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them after, like by email or whatever.
I should add that our panelists are all on LinkedIn. I believe they're all on the platform as well. So you can reach them that way. And of course, if there are any questions or concerns about Brown or college generally, I think they'd be happy to ask or answer. Any other closing thoughts, Lucas, Max, Grace?
Yeah, like I +1, I feel like I like expended way more mental energy on college. And like I just like don't drive yourself nuts. Like it's probably gonna be fine. Like everyone from Harvard Westlake goes to good schools. And like we'll find places they will be happy at. Yeah, I don't know. Brown was really great. Like I mean like a school is a school, but like I still I like called one of my professors a few weeks ago, or I still email with many of my professors, even though like I'm out. And like I made a lot of good friends, and there are a lot of things that I feel like I got at Brown that like a lot of things I was exposed to that I didn't know I was going to be interested in, and I don't know, it's a really great place. I feel quite lucky. Yeah.
Me too. And I think college is fun and you kind of do end up where you should be and you make it. So if you are excited about learning and I don't know, becoming a real person, then it'll be good, probably.
I agree with everything said.
Awesome. At 3:59, the thank yous have been pouring in for our live audience members. I'm sure that when people hear this recording, you all will have questions. You'll have that'll be flooding in. I told people, either go through your LinkedIn or go through your HW Works if they want direct emails. Parents should be able to see them. Students should be able to will be able to go through me. Otherwise, Alexandra, Lucas, Grace, Max, thank you so much for your insight, your time, your reflections on Brown University. It's 4 o'clock. Enjoy your afternoons, or those of you still in the East Coast, your evening now, right? Your early evening. All right, take care, and thank you once again, everybody.
Thanks.